point of view again is a little bit more skeptical. First, I don't want to consider the situation on the basis of illusions and wishful thinking. So I would like to separate what is desirable and what is achievable. We could say that, well, the problems in North is for everybody, but I dare to say that what decides about the effectiveness of the policy is the readiness to accept the costs of the policy. And I think that probably only the Americans have the potential, both material and political, I would say psychological readiness of American citizens to accept the unavoidable burdens of pursuing this or that policy. As far as the European part of the alliance is concerned, no one country is a global power. Each one is either not a power, either regional power. In that sense, the readiness of, for example, Spaniards, Italians, French, to accept the inevitable burdens, to extend European values to Ukraine, Belarus, Moldavia, and Georgia are comparable to the readiness of you, of us, of Poles, to accept inevitable burdens to enlarge European values on Morocco, Libya, Algeria, and Tunisia. I don't think that we are extremely interested in those areas, and that responsible government that is forced to do its best to obtain the support of the citizens can afford to spend the resources of the country on such a remote areas, both whether it's Polish or French or Spanish or Italian or Hungarian government. In Europe, there is a very strict geographical prioritization of the Polish foreign policy, and it's not a surprise that it was Sweden and Finland that invented northern dimension of the European Union, and Spain invented Mediterranean dialogue, and then Sarkozy invented the Union for the Mediterranean. If it would have been Spain and France that invented northern dimension, and Finland and Sweden Mediterranean policy of the European Union, that would be truly European but completely unreal. So we have to distinguish between declarations about, for example, the readiness of battle group, of Weimar battle group. The question is, what is the political goal that the public opinion in Germany, in Poland and in France is ready to support the use of military group in a real battle? And then the government will take such a decision and survive next elections. This is a real question, and not whether we have this or that structure in NATO or in the European Union. So a real problem is whether our societies in democratic countries are ready to accept the burden of the policy, this or that policy, or not. And my thesis is that Americans are ready to accept the burden of the policy if they think this is in their national interest. If not, they cannot do this as well. This is the example of Somalia in 1993. After Mogadishu disaster, there was only a dozen of soldiers. Only, of course, for the families it was a great tragedy. But for a great state, to lose a dozen of soldiers is not the reason to cease the operation. While in that case it was. In the European case, this is almost a habitual situation. In Europe, in Yugoslavian wars, now in Northern Africa, is still proving that it is not able to use its military resources in this or that region in an effective way. And I think that in economic dimension, we have, of course, European neighborhood policy, but just to be close to American political tradition, I would explain it in that way. What is the core idea in European neighborhood policy? It's the slogan, everything but decisions. That means everything but institutions, everything but participation in the decision-making process. In Polish political tradition, I would say this is contrary to the nihil novi constitution of 1505, nihil novi sub solis in comune consensus. In American tradition, it is contrary to the very idea, not the very sentence, but the very idea, no taxation without representation. How we can expect our neighbors to follow our orders without asking them to participate in the decision-making process? It's childish policy. It cannot work. This is why we are losing Turkey. Turkey was not accepted as a decision-making power, and it is sailing away from our construction. Of course, we can attract in that way Moldavia, for example, because it's a tiny country, weak and thus vulnerable for pressure. But generally, I don't think that Europe has any effective tools to influence its neighborhood since the decision that the real large enlargement is over. And enlargement fatigue, which is a characteristic of the European Union today, is in fact the end of a powerful tool to influence the neighborhood. And this is why I think that, again, the international circumstances are evolving in unfavorable way from the Polish point of view. Americans are the most reliable, the most important factor in that construction, still not